It's getting increasingly more frustrating to watch the Yankees play baseball. The month of June turned to the month of July, yet some of the same issues that we saw throughout last month started again here this month. Yankees did not have a good Canada Day up in Toronto. They fall 12-5 to the Blue Jays after allowing 5 runs in the 7th, 3 runs in the 8th. It's a long sigh there, I know. Because I'm trying to decide where we want to start here. Do we want to talk about the fact that Yankees cannot hit with runners in scoring position? That continues to be a major issue for this team. They went 2 for 17 with runners in scoring position against Toronto. They had plenty of opportunities to score earlier in the game. They're now 10-14 against the American League East. They continue to play under 500 ball over the last 30 days. They are continuing to make miscues at various points of the game, whether it's defensively, whether it's bullpen decisions, whether it's the positions that they're choosing for guys to play. I've said this to my friends personally. I don't know if I've said this on the podcast yet, and I feel like now is the time that I'm going to. I don't think Jazz can play third at a level that is needed. And quite frankly, the fact that they would be moving one of their better players, not just with the bat, but one of the better players with the glove at his position at the time, to third base to accommodate a player who has not played well in years and is clearly at this point on the team for 2 reasons. One, because he's got a contract that is, you would rather not have in AAA. And 2, because Aaron Judge wants him on the team. And I understand that aspect of it. And if he wants to be the guy that's on the bench, that's fine. But the idea that in general was flawed, that you should move Jazz to third base to let DJ LeMahieu play second, was flawed to begin with. And it's flawed now. And it continues to hurt this team. And yes, I understand that, Jazz isn't completely blameless for some of the defensive issues, particularly throwing issues that he has displayed at third base over the last couple weeks. But I have a little bit more sympathy for him because this is a player that did not, he flat out said he did not expect coming into the season he would ever really play third base again, and then was asked to, and willingly did it, and had, did it with a smile. But he is a liability at third with his arm. And it's not because his arm isn't good. It's because his arm's erratic in that spot. He doesn't have the right feel yet for those throws. He also is quite frankly, just a better second baseman. And it's shown that this year, earlier in the season. It's not like DJ LeMahieu is playing good second base either. He's not. He has no range. He cannot get to the ball. At all. And you know what I mean? Like I said, it's one of those things where, if this was a case where you had DJ LeMahieu playing excellent second base, you deal with it, but he's not. He already has a negative 1 outs above average despite playing very little. His fielding run value ranks in the below average category. He's not providing really anything with the bat either, by the way. There's right now no redeeming quality with his play. So I know you're going to look at it and say, Jazz is grading out as about a league average fielder. He was above average when he was still playing second. He's great. The metrics are getting hurt because he is playing third base. But so you have those issues there, including, and then again, that led to, in that 4th inning where the Yankees have, an opportunity to get out of an inning where they're going to be up 2-1. An issue getting the ball to first base leads to, a hit, a walk, and then a hit happening on that play, a walk, and then a 3-run home run, and all of a sudden the Yankees go from being up 2-1 to being down 4-2. They claw back in the 7th to tie the game thanks to some just really weird fielding errors of Toronto's standpoint. And then the wheels completely come off in the bottom of the 7th. Mark Leiter Jr. continues his struggles. Now he's been tagged with a 6th loss of the season, allows 2 earned runs in a third of an inning pitched. His 1.59 whip is now currently 150th out of 157 qualified pitchers. Ungood. And then Luke Weaver just had a real bad outing. And it started with another miscue. He has a strikeout in this game. And I want to make sure I got the batter properly here. He struck out, he already struck out Barger, but he reaches on a catcher's interference. This is the second game in a row and third of the season, which is tied for the league high for J.C. Escar, and considering how little he has played, the fact that he's all the way up there is a problem. So it turns a strikeout that should have been the second out of the inning into a free base. Ernie Clement gets an RBI single, and then George Springer on a fastball could not be more right down the middle if you tried. Like if you walked down and tried to place it down the middle, could not be more down the middle. And Springer hits a grand slam as part of his 7 RBI game here on Tuesday. So there's a lot to blame to go around for this game, but there's a lot of just, I guess I'm getting sick of watching the same story. I'm getting sick of watching the Yankees completely, I want to say this in a family-friendly way, completely urinate down their leg every time there's runners in scoring position. I'm tired of seeing the Yankees throw out middle relievers in these spots that just can't get outs. And right now, and I understand what he did late last season and what he did in the postseason, but for the most part, Mark Leiter Jr. has not had an above-average career out of the pen. He just hasn't. And so you were hoping, given what he was able to do in the postseason last year and late last season, and quite frankly, he had some really good stretches early in this season, that he could be that key high leverage guy for you. He has proven that that's not the case, and he is getting used a ton right now. Luke, it was a bad outing. He's given up 2 home runs now since he's come back off the IL, but in between his first outing and this outing, he had a handful of good outings. I'm not as worried about him, but the defensive miscues are a problem. Volpe in this game didn't have, again, you could talk about one of the singles in this game that led to the big inning in the 7th. I'm not sure he could have made an out on that play, but it's one of those ones where you're hoping that he can, knock it down or get to it or help limit the damage. It's just like it's just one thing after another. I don't think Stanton looks right at the plate right now, and if you're kind of taking a look at him, he goes 1 for 4 in this game, but I don't think he hasn't really. I thought that first game he looked really good, and then since it does feel like he's fighting it, he's not putting the ball in the air a lot, with a lot of power. I'm not just talking about home run power. Like, we're not seeing a lot of even warning track power. Like, it's his hard hit balls are all beat right into the ground. In some ways, that has been effective for him, but I don't think that's the effective long term approach. It's just all a little weird right now. I don't love it. And you're starting to see teams really take advantage of the Yankees' inability to hit with runners in scoring position. And because we saw Judge get intentionally walked this game, we saw Judge get put on as a tying run in the game with first base occupied. And we've seen that for a couple games now, where teams are literally saying, we do not trust the middle of your lineup to do anything. And yes, there is a huge element of that is that, hey, if we're going to get beat, let's not get beat by Aaron Judge. Totally understand that. I wouldn't want to get it. You know what I mean? Like, you can live with yourself if it's going to happen sometimes, but if Jazz or Giancarlo or Volpe or Dominguez or one of those guys, Austin Wells when he's playing, if one of those guys have a monster game and beat you, you throw your hands up, that's going to happen. If you let Aaron Judge beat you when you know he's clearly the best player on this team and what this team has struggled behind him and what he's struggled to do with runners in scoring position, that's on you. But for the Yankees, that's also on you. You got to be better. And it's just not good enough right now from top to bottom. And, there are bright spots. I think Jason Dominguez is really starting to come into his own a bit, and then with Trent Grisham's injury, he's going to get to play a lot more. Obviously, Bellinger has been playing a lot better lately. I still think you're getting plenty of quality at-bats more often than not from Judge and from Goldschmidt. But the runners in scoring position problem, the middle relief problem, the defensive problems, they're evident, and they're happening all the time. And it's getting increasingly frustrating to sit here and watch the same story over and over and over again. And you don't have, like, the big thing that this team doesn't have that last year's team had down the stretch is a guy like Juan Soto. And I'm not saying that Juan Soto solves all of their problems or anything like that. But what I'm saying is when you have multiple guys that are, and I know you're trying to, replace Soto in the aggregate. I get that. And I understand the philosophy there. But the issue right now is that the Yankees were able to extend their lineup a little bit more. And I'm not saying you need Juan Soto in this lineup, although I'm sure you would certainly take that. But right now, you need enough people that your lineup goes beyond the 3 or 4 hitter. And right now, it doesn't feel like it does. Yes, you have moments of flashes from Dominguez, but it hasn't. Once you get past Judge and Jazz, who were 3 and 4 in this game, and sometimes Jazz is hitting 5th, and the order gets moved around a little bit. But it seems like whenever you get past that 4th or maybe 5th spot in the lineup, it's just out. Anthony Volpe's not hitting, Escara's not hitting, LeMahieu's not hitting. You know what I mean? It's becoming a major issue for this team right now. And Ben Rice he wasn't in the game here. He's been unlucky, so I'm not mad at him, but his results haven't been what they've needed to be, even if the entire process and the under the hood numbers show they are where they should be. And that's just some bad luck. But bad luck, at the end of the day, you don't win the World Series based off what you should have done. You win the World Series based off what you have done. So the fact that he is getting unlucky makes me really encouraged about his future, but is also exacerbating the problem the Yankees have right now. So you've lost the 2 games here to Toronto. You've got 2 more to go in this series before you go that long stretch in New York City before the All-Star break. But I don't know. This team needs to fix a lot of things at the moment. And again, this is not doom and gloom. The season's not over. I'm not going to overreact like that. But this team is trending toward being what I thought they were at the beginning of the season, which was a low 90 win wild card team. In slightly different ways than I expected, because I did not expect the rotation to be as solid as it has been. But the issues that they have need to be addressed and they need to be fixed. They need to find a right-handed hitting third baseman at the deadline and move Jazz back to second. They need to find multiple middle relief arms. If they can do those 2 things, they can inject some life back into this team, because Judge is going to get hot again. You're going to get Bellinger's been getting better. Jazz is hot now. You're going to get, your rotation has been good, and you're going to get Heel back. You can turn some stuff around, but this team cannot be passive at the deadline. And what I mean by not be passive doesn't mean you go out and get Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Doesn't mean you go out and get Ke'Bryan Hayes. Doesn't mean you go out and get Nolan Arenado. Those guys are not difference makers right now. They're just not. And yes, is there a sense of okay, well, you put one of them at third base, you move Jazz back to second, and defensively you improve? Yeah, you can improve a bit on the margins just by doing that, by moving Jazz back. Arenado's defense still plays, although he can't hit anymore. but his defense still plays. I get that, but those are minimal changes. Those are small wins. You need to go out for a bigger win. And I'm not saying you're going out to, go crazy, but I look at Eugenio Suarez in Arizona. Like, that's the one that just, and I've been saying that name on this podcast for a month, but that's the flashing lights name for me. You know what I mean? I will take some of his deficiencies at third base, given what he can do with that bat, given the fact you had another right-handed power that you can stick in the 4 or 5 hole for you and put yourself in a really strong position going forward. Give me that guy. I think you need to go out and get somebody that is going to make an impact, not just on the field and not just by moving Jazz back to second base, but make an impact with their bat in this lineup. You need to extend the lineup. You need to lengthen the lineup, and you need more guys that have a good chance to break games open when they have the opportunity, because right now the bottom of the Yankees lineup isn't doing it and hasn't done it since April. It's been 2 months now. We have to realize where the holes on this team are. And yes, the bullpen's holes, some of it is injury related. I thought they needed another arm anyway. They probably need 2 arms now with Cruz going out for, like I said, the foreseeable future. And a guy like Mark Leiter, who's not showing to be that he can be that back into the bullpen strong guy that they need so more. They need another right-hander and they need another left-hander in the pen, unless they're going to assume that they're going to put Ryan Yarbrough as that second lefty. But either way, you need multiple bullpen arms. But we'll talk a lot more about that as we get later in this month, as we get closer to the MLB trade deadline. But just another loss on Tuesday, another frustrating loss for the Yankees. And they have plenty of time to turn things around, and it's very evident what their issues are. The goal is going to be, how do they try to fix it, and do they actually not go quote-unquote all in to fix it, but do they make a true effort to make this team better, or do they just want to win little bit here on the margins and be cheap? We'll find out.